What is going on, Wolfpack Nation? Hope everybody's doing well this evening. Thank you all so much for tuning in here for our 7 o'clock live show, baby. If you have not already joined us before, make sure you get it. If you haven't already, send us a comment. We already see Terry there in the comments there. Appreciate you joining us here, Terry. But just give us a shout out. Let us know what's going on. Again, if you have questions, comments, we're going to be talking all things NC State today. Talking a little bit of Clemson, talking a little bit about Florida State coming up here for sure. Definitely was hoping that we'd be having this live show with a lot more upbeatness and excitement and oh my gosh, we did it. But obviously, unfortunately, we weren't able to do that. Obviously, a tough 30-20 loss for sure. Again, nice to see you, Connor. What's going on? Appreciate you showing up here, Connor. Obviously, Greg, myself, Macon's brother Amos, and then my cousin Jimmy Dayton, we call him Turnip. All five of us went together, and again, it was an experience for sure. Obviously, a 22-hour day on Saturday, starting off with college game day, getting up at 4:15 in the morning, and then obviously the game, even getting pushed back 20 minutes, and starting around 8 o'clock, which is kind of a another hilarious note there, just that they want us to stick around 20 minutes longer, and getting back to the hotel around 2 a.m. So Greg, what were your thoughts about it, man? Would you do it again?
Yes, but with a caveat at Raleigh. I don't want to do it again on the road. I want our fans to experience what we experienced minus the loss.
I gotcha. Yep. And what would you say, Macon? Same thing?
Well, I would do it again. I thought Clemson had a great game day atmosphere. I thought they really put it on very well for the fans. We were discussing on the way back in the car, and even like Clemson's videography, like how they put up stats on the screen, their sound system was top notch. They have the lights like State does, where they have like the LED lights that flash. I just really thought the whole game was like a really well done, even like you use the word production. It really was really well produced. I mean, there were some fans that were, the kind of classless kind of fans, but they were pretty good otherwise. So, very hospitable for the most part. I enjoyed it. I will say, first time doing game day, there's some notes I would take away. I definitely would not do that on the road again unless it was like State was number, a top 5 team or something like that. But man, it was great. I thought otherwise I would, take a chair maybe next time for game day. If you have like a little stool you can sit on, because standing for 5 hours got kind of old. But man, I thought it was a great trip. Michael, did you get to watch the whole game?
Yeah, and I watched all 3 hours of game day that was on TV. Obviously they focused on Clemson a lot because they were the home team. Right. Was hoping they'd have at least a few more interviews with State players, but they they talked about our defense at the beginning, and then like they had one pre-recorded interview with Doran, but that was really it for interviews. I was hoping to see some players out with some interviews, but that didn't happen. And then Pat McAfee and his pick at the end was awesome. I think he's like they're basically having him going to be the replacement for Lee Corso. Nobody can replace him, but Pat's a pretty good choice.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, your sentiments on the whole Clemson being featured, that was kind of my reasoning for my answer earlier. Is like it was just Clemson, and I get it. They're the higher ranked team; it's their home thing. But like I want to be on the Clemson end of all of the the hype and the cheering and just the growing. I mean, they went nuts and it was great. But Tuffy Talk was definitely in the house. Our flags were just about in every shot of of the show. So if anybody was watching when they had center stage, our flag was right there, and then we had flags right over Herb Street. So we were there. My sign got on for a brief second. So, it was fun. But Macon, you're absolutely right. I'm glad I brought that chair because the last 45 minutes, I was like, I'm done. We were out there for 5.5, 6 hours.
Yeah. Well, and definitely, I would definitely say too that when they had made the announcement that Lee Corso was not going to be there, I immediately kind of a lot of the wind kind of got taken out of my sails because I was just like, man, like there and because I knew what was going to happen, and it definitely turned out that way. It just felt like this build up to not really what we were, to it felt like this whole big build up to something which ended up not even taking place. Obviously,
Yeah.
having Lee Corso putting on the mascot head
That
definitely is what
is
makes
college
it.
game day.
It
Yeah.
makes it.
Mhm.
And that's why I'm saying everybody, who comments saying, well, Lee Corso's lost his step. Well, yeah, no, he definitely has for sure. He definitely fumbles on
He's in
words,
bad
things like that.
shape.
He's an
You know,
87-year-old man.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's not what he was, but at the end of the day, I would still take a 75-80% Lee Corso any day, than
Yeah.
not have him at all. Let's put it that way. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so and I see Cole, what was it here? I'm sorry. I actually lost a couple of the questions, but I know Colby asked the question about, in your opinion, how much did the refs change the momentum and course of the game? So I wanted to go ahead and kind of talk about that. So, first of all, obviously, I think it was a little bit of both ways. I know even during the game we were admitting, and here actually I can bring this tweet up here to show it. Obviously, this is the one picture that everybody wants to talk about for sure. And there's no doubt that yes, that ball is free. That ball went through the end zone. It should have been a touchback. First and 10 from the 25 for NC State to end the first half, and basically you're going into halftime up 10-6 instead of being down 13-6. But the one thing which I would say to that is that, first of all, I think there was bad calls on both sides for sure. There was a couple of face masks which are clear and obvious on the jumbotron that were missed. Holdings for sure. It would just seem like an off day overall for the
PIs.
referees. Yeah, some PI. Yeah, like the one phantom PI on us was bad. So
The kicker was a little bad, I thought. But
yeah,
Yeah.
I
It
agree
was
that
ticky
too.
tacky.
And then,
Yeah.
but I know that everybody would say, well, but none of them would have made the impact like this one would have. This one would have made a huge impact on the game. But the more frustrating thing about it is why do we, the internet, have access to this view, but obviously ESPN or the reviewers didn't? Like, how are we able to see this clear as day? That ball's free.
See that? I mean, to me,
Well, yeah.
Even when you see it in motion, the ball's coming out about 2 inches, needs about an inch or two above the ground. You can see the ball's moving. So it was just you could, and there's another clip, I think Barstool Pack or somebody had it up, where the clip of Will Shipley as he's walking off the field, looking back up at the play on the jumbotron, and he even says, like, he's like, dang it, like he knew he fumbled it. And but that's just the way it goes sometimes. And that's a huge miss though. I mean, there's some other misses that are like, oh, that's a bad call here and there. That one was pretty pivotal, I thought. So I do think the refs, even guys like this, I don't know if people saw this on Twitter, but Des Bryant he's not from Clemson or NC State, the famous Dallas Cowboys receiver. Even he was like, I cannot watch this game anymore because these refs are on something, because it was bad. But
yeah.
I hate also making, it's worth a discussion for a moment. I think it's fair to have a talk about it. I hate bringing in the refs. It's like, because it could go the other way, the next time for us. That particular call though was pivotal. It was like, wow, that was a big call, because you go into halftime, it could have at most been 3 points, probably tie game. But that was a 7-point swing there, and you lost by 10. So that could have been a really big factor in the game, I thought. I mean, going to halftime, you're up confidence if you don't have that touchdown. So
Yeah, I'll say two things about that too. One, never put it in the hands of a referee to make the decision on the game, right? So to your point, making so you have to do better and do more to not let that affect you. And then to the last point you made, I thought we just came out flat as like the Midwest, Kansas, Iowa, Nebraska state line. Like it was flat. Like there was no energy, no juice. The sideline wasn't hyped up when we came out. I think we came out 3 and out on the first drive and
Of the second half.
Second half. Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
Yes.
second. My apologies.
Yeah,
Second
second
half.
half.
My apologies. My apologies.
Yes.
Second half. Yep. Sorry.
Yes.
But yeah, we came out of the locker room in the second
Yeah.
half, and it was flat, no energy. You could tell like the air was let out of the balloon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and one thing too, which I know that a lot of fans want to talk about too, is the conservatism to end the first half. Basically kneeling the ball going into halftime, and I do agree with the fact that you have 28 seconds, you have 2 timeouts, you have Devin Leary back there, and also too up until that point, Devin Leary was playing well. I mean, I know the stats don't really scream it, but overall, I mean, he was making throws. He was playing confidently. Even when he was getting pressured, he was stepping through the throws. He was connecting with Devin Carter. I mean, that first drive, that long deep pass to Devin Carter was money. It was gorgeous. And so to me, in a game against a top 5, top 10 opponent, I feel like you cannot play conservatively, especially in an environment like Death Valley where momentum is key. You have to be able to take momentum when you can. And at the end of the day, worst comes worst, you throw a pass or two, they're incomplete, then you run the ball or whatever it may be, and you go to halftime. But to basically go out there and from the moment that the offense takes field and say, we're okay being down, because I think that is the message that got sent out, is that we are okay being within 4 points of Clemson, which right. And because when you see the second half, what happened in the second half? Like offensive line overall, we played okay in the first half, but once that second half came, their defensive line took over. Their defensive line completely took over. It was a night and day difference, and so that to me is a little bit, because I know a lot of State fans say, Doran is very easy to go the conservative route, and I feel like that didn't necessarily lose it for us, but it didn't help us either. That's just to me. Make a statement.
I'm okay with taking the knee there. Just because, look, I'm old enough to remember back in the Super Bowl when the Redskins played. I don't know if I can still say Redskins, but when they played the Raiders and Theismann threw an interception and the Raiders returned it for a touchdown in that very type of scenario. And so that could really change momentum. I'm okay with it. Look.
Well, again, worst comes to worst. I mean, what's going to happen?
You turn it over. That's what's worse.
But again, you have a quarterback who's playing well up until that point. He was playing well that whole first half. I muted you, Bacon, because your microphone was fumbling around. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
The way I am with those situations, I think it depends partly. We were going to get the ball back anyways, but that is a possession. I personally would have taken a shot there. Worst case scenario. I mean, you could maybe get a pick six, worst case scenario. But I mean, if you're taking a shot downfield, I don't foresee a pick six being likely to happen. I mean, if you're taking one of these slant passes, I could totally, like these 5 and outs, I could totally see that, or a 10 and out. I could see that happening. But if you're taking a shot downfield, I feel it's much less likely for a pick six. Maybe I'm wrong and stupid in that. I know it's possible, but worst case scenario, I mean, that's maybe that happens. But I thought, you get a shot, you can try to get a field goal, it works it out, but you're about to get the ball back anyways at second half. I don't know. I feel like that's such a small thing right now in this turns of this
That's
game.
not what lost this game. I mean,
that was nothing, because we got the ball right back. So that's the way.
Well, I just think unfortunately there was 2 things that ended the first half, because obviously there was some kind of a switch that was flipped heading into the second half. And I think the combination of, and Ronnie brings it up right there, we played the prevent defense some on that Clemson drive at the end of the first half. The prevent defense only prevents you from winning the game. But again, at the end of the day, I completely agree, saying that there's no reason whatsoever that in the Wake Forest game, every single time Wake Forest rushed 3, DJ completed a pass, and most of the time completed a long pass and made them pay for it. Well, so why would we not look at that and go, we are not going to do that. We are going to bring pressure on him the entire game, and we are going to force him to make his first read, or if not, make a play himself. Because again, he made us pay for that, and again, bad call or not, it was it worked out for them.
I'll make a note here. I'll make a note here. We talk about Devin Leary. I didn't think Devin Leary was great, but I didn't think he was like terrible. Was his he's actually had 2 worst games so far this season statistically, at least by PFF. East Carolina was UConn was actually his worst performing game statistically, if you want to look like that. But East Carolina was second. So he was graded out at a 60.2 against Clemson. His best game so far was Charleston Southern. And for reference, Texas Tech, he got a 67.6 grade. So he was fine. He didn't, run the ball well. To me, the number that when you look at PFF and you see where we got, it's no surprise. The place where we got lit up the worst was pass blocking, man. It was was bad. It was bad. The grade we got was a 44.2. The next lowest grading we got it looks like it was run blocking. I mean, any sort of blocking, it just was really poor. And that to me was what cost us the game.
I mean, like you said, Leary was the first couple drives. He was on point, and that's because the offensive line gave him enough time to make those throws. And then, I don't have a problem with the kneel down, because we came out right back with the ball, and then they got sacks on the 2 first plays of the second half, and then that was it. That set the tone for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I go ahead, Macon.
Well, I just don't. I feel like the main word we told us coming home for the Tuffy Talk crew was it's just the word was execution, and it was just the hitting the receivers, and the ball is thrown right at Cruz Tootle, and it hits him off both hands, I think, in that situation, and it's picked off. There's the drive like a few drives before that where you have a play, I think, on second down, and Jordan Houston trips over his own lineman, and then the very next play, they throw the ball to Houston, and he's basically, it's not the perfect ball, but it hits him essentially in the catchable zone, and he just drops it. The penalties, Grant Gibson having these false starts, I don't understand what the deal is there, because he's the worst penalized offensive lineman on our team. Things like that, the kicker situation is fine. I just thought it was people are going to do about play calls. Like I saw the comment there Dalton had about our wide receivers are not getting open. Devin Carter got pretty wide open on the plays. I thought Thayer was pretty open a lot of times. I thought Keon Lassane had his best game. You could argue he was the second best receiver. He was 6 for 6. I just thought it was execution. I thought some of the play calling Tim Beck had was really good. I mean, it could have been better, sure, particularly in the second half, but I thought there was some plays in there that are really nice. I just thought guys just at different times, critical, poor execution at critical moments is what cost us the game.
Yeah, I agree. Because when Leary did have the time, I mean, he took some shots. We didn't take enough shots, by the way, down the field. If you're just an average casual fan that just tunes into the talking heads of the national media, they all harped on that very point, from the week before with Wake Forest, going all off on those DBs. And we just didn't take enough time. I mean, we didn't take enough shots, excuse me. But you could also argue that Larry didn't have the time to do it, right? Like in the first half, when the offensive line was playing well,
correct.
We took a couple and it worked out. The second half, not so much. IPS, when we were listening to the pod coming home, they brought up a great point. Clemson scored on 60% of their possessions on Saturday night. They had 10 possessions and they scored on 6 of them. And we just didn't get stops when we needed to. Again, it goes back to execution. We didn't get the pressure. Go ahead.
No. After that, you didn't look. They show the screens up. They show the stats up on the screen. The stats are about identical except for 2 items: rushing yards and turnovers. We had like 34 rushing yards. They're like 120 or 130, something like that. They had over 100 yards, I think, more than what we had. They just dominated the line of scrimmage. You're not winning games. Like, to the comment that Connor had there, we are never winning a game with -2 in the turnover column. It was
Not against Clemson. You're not.
right, but
Right.
you're dead even, relatively speaking, about possession time. Passing yards are about dead even. First downs are about dead even. It was just they just dominated you on the line of scrimmage. Go ahead, Leighton. You're smirking over there for a while.
Yeah, well, and again, so I don't want to give away too much because yesterday Michael and I recorded an episode with Kenton Gibbs from Locked On Wolfpack and Riley Williams from Inside Pack Sports. So definitely make sure to stay tuned for those episodes for sure, as it was definitely a great in-depth conversation about the Clemson game and kind of what are some things we can do to improve on for Florida State in the rest of the season. But Wes Collar right there brings up one great point, and because we definitely talked a lot about Tim Beck. And obviously calling a trick play where our third or fourth string running back is throwing the ball in the red zone is, I mean, if there's one play you're going to circle saying, what was that? That's one of them. On top of also to another stat as well I saw today from Wolfpack, I think it was from Josh Goodson, where 30% of our passes were behind the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
And
didn't take the shot.
That's a bad stat. That's a bad stat. I don't like
that's
that
a bad stat. Again, against a defense like Clemson, and against a defense too, who the cornerback they lost their cornerback from a targeting call in the first half. You have to take shots on a guy like that.
Macon, when you say that's a bad stat, like explain it, because I don't know. I'm not sure if I understand what you mean by bad stat. Like, are you okay with that if it produces play, like if it produces results?
Yeah. One thing before you answer, Macon, I will say if you look at most games will have that same amount. That's just the way that Beck runs. He runs the short passes, screens, and it will be the same mostly for every game. That percentage.
I would have thought that number would have been around 20 or something like that. That's what I would have thought, because I mean, if you're throwing, let me start this way. I said I think State's probably going to try to attack Clemson in the way where they get their guys with speed out. I mean, I mentioned might do some bubble screen kind of things and let the guys with speed really try to take advantage of corners and block. I thought that's what we're going to do. It seems like we did that a little bit. Not saying we should. I obviously thought we should take shots on the field, which we did. You could argue we certainly should have done more and make their corners pay in that regard, especially after Ngata. What was the other? What's the guy? The safety who got hit for targeting? He got taken out of the game. Makuba. But especially when he went out, I would have taken more shots down the field as well. But I look at it as when you're throwing plays behind the line of scrimmage. That tells me, I think it kind of goes with what I was saying we should have done. But I also think it's saying I don't think the offensive line was giving Leary enough time. I mean, you're wanting to get that ball and you want to get it out. So I think that's part of it. I just think that, I mean, that's just me. I would have thought it would have been more like a 15, 20%. You're taking shots more in that 5 yard or 2 yards just to get it out and start it. But, getting it behind the line of scrimmage as a starting off with negative yardage on a catch, I don't feel like on a third of your possessions is. Yeah. But what I know, I still thought Beck called a good fine game. I thought he could have done better on some way. I thought it was fine. I honestly thought the way he called the game, there was enough there for us to win. It was just poor execution. So I don't want to be like, oh, Tim Beck sucks and whatever.
No,
that was
not that at all.
That was not.
Yeah, it's easy to blame the coordinator when your offense barely scores 20 points. So, but
there was too many times where we got behind the chains, whether it was a penalty, whether it was getting broken up, in the backfield on a run, whether it was a 1 yard run. We just, again, I think the word of the day, and you keep hitting on it, Macon, it's execution. It just, look, we showed up. All right. We played a good game. We didn't play a great game. And I think you have to play a great game against Clemson when you're playing on their field. I mean, we've shown that we can compete with them. And I thought we did compete. We just did too much to beat ourselves to not win that game. And look, we were a I still think we are a top 10 team. And, we only dropped down to 14. There's still plenty of time to get back in the top 10. and get 10, maybe 11 wins still. Look, hey, we've only got one loss, and again, it's against Clemson, who's owned the ACC
on the road.
yeah. Like, look.
I hate moral victories, but I get you what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm done. I mean, I'm just done with the.
No, I don't think I don't think it's a moral victory. I just don't think it's
like
a
true.
devastating
The sky
loss.
hasn't
It's
fallen.
perspective.
Yeah.
It's perspective, then not moral victory. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe sorry about that. That's probably
No, look,
poorly
look. In
worded.
3 or 4 weeks, if we've lost 2 or 3 more, okay, maybe we have this discussion. But right now, like, it's one game. We lost on their field to the number 5 team. Look, we didn't cover. Big deal. Whatever. We fought.
It was a 1 possession. It was a 7-point game, like early into the fourth quarter.
Mid
fourth quarter. Yeah.
So,
and I do want to, add in as well, that again, just make sure to stay tuned as we have our episodes coming up here soon, which kind of give a lot more insight, talking a lot more about Tim Beck and the offense as well. So I don't want to talk too much more about that because don't want to give too much of that away.
Can I say one more thing? Not offense, it's defense. People also said the defense didn't play too great. I think you can see that at times. Your leaders. I thought Isaiah Moore was probably your best defensive player that game. I thought, that last play, that last touchdown with when
Peyton.
DJ got, did a little curl on the outside. Peyton made a bad angle on that, bit a little too hard in there, and DJ's a good enough athlete to make that happen. But to me, what I saw was that the first half, Will Shipley was the guy beating us. They found that was the soft spot in our defense, and they were attacking it, and it worked. Will Shipley didn't do anything the second half. I didn't see him do much in there, and so when you think about that. Just be mindful. People say, well, the coaches, I did hear some people saying that coaches need to make adjustments and blah, blah, blah. I really think they did. I just think when you talk about execution, that's not just offense, it's defense. I think there was some gap integrity there on defense. That, those little, kind of slow runs, RPOs, and D just kind of comes at the middle and just pops out, and there he goes.
We got lulled a couple times.
Yep. And, so that was something there. I think it was just, I'll make that note. I think there was some adjustments because I did hear some of that comment. I do think there were. I think just Clemson was a better team that night, and that's okay. It's just you hate it because you were up, you were leading in Death Valley, and you could feel it. There was some tension there from the Clemson fans, and State felt like they belonged there. And I don't know. It's a bummer. It stinks. The season's not over, but I don't know. I just want to make sure that people thought about that for the crowd who says that there weren't adjustments. There at least were on defense. So Will Shipley was punishing us in the first half and not in the second half.
Yeah. So again, definitely don't. And Ronnie, I see your comment about Tim Beck for sure, and definitely the one thing which I do want to say was that it was great to finally see Devin Leary start to be Devin Leary a little bit. Obviously wasn't by any means exemplary per se, but it was good to see him start to make some of the accurate throws that we have seen from him before. It was good to see him play with some confidence. It was good to see him try and find that connection a little bit. So hopefully we can build off of that heading into FSU here. But again, I highly suggest you, Ronnie and Hunter, for sure to check out our episodes here coming up here this week. But we'll make sure to get to more of your comments. Dalton, I know you asked your question about the sound system. We'll get to that too. But real quick, I do want to give a shout, especially to, since we had our girl Mackenzie comment here with us. So I'm assuming that she's watching right now. So I want to take this moment, first of all, again, to give a huge shout out to her and the Blackwell family. Definitely our prayers and thoughts are with all of y'all. And for those who do not know, unfortunately, the news came out from Mackenzie that her father has a couple of brain lesions that have been caused by cancer of a sort. And so he is in the hospital right now. So our thoughts and prayers go to her father, and the entire Blackwelder family. And we miss y'all and definitely are hoping for the best and hoping to have Mackenzie back here with us here next week. But also, too, we also want to give a heads up that in honor of Mackenzie and the Blackwelder family, we are officially announcing, as of this Tuffy Talk live show, that we are starting the Blackwelder family giveaway. So usually every single week, we usually give away tickets, whether it's by doing retweets, whether it's by being a subscriber, whatever it may be. But this week, what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be raising some money. And so to give a little bit of a background of it. So Mackenzie's father actually bought tickets through his StubHub account for him and Mackenzie to go to the Clemson game. But then unfortunately, after he bought the tickets is when he started going south and went to the hospital. And so unfortunately, because of the state he was in, there wasn't any way for her or the family to get access to the tickets, which meant there was no way for them to be able to sell the tickets or anything like that, or recuperate the money. So unfortunately, they lost money for it. So for that, along with also too as well, all that they're going through right now with personal and medical expenses for sure, we're going to be actually, if you look in the description of the video below, you'll see a GoFundMe link. And so what we're going to be doing is, so for every $5 you donate, you receive one entry for this ticket giveaway. So meaning that, again, all you have to do is donate at least $5 and you have a chance to win the giveaway. But again, for every $5, so if you donate $20, you get 4 entries. If you donate $100, you get 20 entries. So basically what I'm saying is the more money you donate, the more likelihood you have to win. Okay. So if you have any questions about that, let us know. But again, the link to that is in the description below. So again, we have a goal right now of, $1,000, but again, then they, and whatever we can put together, I know will be much appreciated for sure. And and I know Mackenzie there, she didn't know about this ahead of time. Again, it goes to a great cause, to a family that definitely, needs the support right now, to a family that bleeds and loves NC State with all their heart and soul. And I know every single NC State fan knows that. So, I just, ask, to all those listening, all those watching to, let's, come together. Again, isn't the benefit for us. This is the benefit for Mackenzie and the Blackwelder family, period, straightforward. And so that's why we wanted to do this. And instead of doing, giving away tickets to benefit us somehow, we wanted to turn around and give it right back to one of our very own Mackenzie. So, again, just, again, donate at least $5, description below, click on it. But for every additional $5 you donate, you get more and more entries. So that's how it'll basically work. Greg, go ahead.
Yeah, just, hey everybody, when you do that, share it out on all your socials. Again, if you're a Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever your platform is, get out there and share it out there. We want to raise as much money for this wonderful family. Like Leighton said, this family is amazing. They have hearts of gold. So let's just take care of one of our own.
Absolutely. And to help everybody too, so after we wanted to make the official announcement here on the live show, but right after this live show, and also even tomorrow as well, we're going to be putting a tweet out there officially, announcing it, giving the directions as well, and also posting it on Facebook as well. So that way, if you want to retweet it or share it, whatever it may be, that way you can just do it that way as well, instead of just sending out the link to the GoFundMe. So yeah, if you have any questions, let us know. But again, definitely, praying for y'all, Mackenzie, and definitely hoping for the best and hoping to have you back here soon. So anyway, so now jumping.
Can I clear one thing up too?
Go ahead.
We don't know it's cancer yet. There are suspicions that it could be. They have a biopsy this Thursday. Obviously, we'll know more, but we don't want to speculate there. So, but we are praying for you, Kenzie.
It's just a scary situation for their
It's
family.
a super scary situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So they were at Wake Forest Baptist over the weekend, and I believe he's Chad's come home. So that's a good thing. So
good. Yeah. No, thank you for clarifying that, Greg.
Yeah.
That's a lesson learned for me too. Anyway, so jumping back here. So, and I know, Dalton, you asked that question 2 different times, so we want to make sure to go ahead and highlight that. So he said, basically, if it's allowed for the sound system to be that loud and play up until Leary hikes the ball. Did not think that was allowed. Very unfair. We do not do this at Carter Finley. Who knows
close.
necessarily? They've done it that way for years. I know, especially too, like the one thing which I always say is, on most third downs, they usually have like those tiger eyes and it'll flash, purple and orange, which to me, I think that's honestly more distracting than even necessarily the noise. Whether it's, allowed or not, I know they've been doing it for a long time now. So I feel like if it was illegal, that it probably would have been brought up to their attention by now. But, and again, I think a lot of it too as well. Just keep in mind that during this offseason, we're going to be putting in a new scoreboard, bigger scoreboard. So hopefully that should help a little bit. And also too, a new sound system as well is on the way here as well. So hopefully that can help a little bit. It's way overdue. Way overdue. I'm tired of seeing the panels, noticing the old panels on the video screen. So Macon, Greg, Michael, any more comments about that, or is that pretty straight and simple?
No, I made that same comment. I mean, they were getting pretty. I wouldn't say it was right up to the snap, but again, you don't know when the ball's gonna be snapped. I think the rule is 10 seconds before the play clock goes off, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
I mean, here's what I think about it. I don't really have. I've been to a lot of other games. I will say I have been to. Well, it's not true. I've been to Notre Dame. I've been to West Virginia. I've been to UNC, Virginia Tech. I don't see any of them doing that, and it's not saying it's not allowed. I just think it may be a slightly poor sportsmanship there, but they can do it. If it helps them win, I mean, State, maybe they should just start doing that a little bit more. I don't know. I think it's fine. I just, I mean, they can do it if they want to. It's not gonna, it's not gonna hurt their chances to win. So, I mean, you almost want to say, well, why not do it? But I do think it's a little bit poor sportsmanship, but that's just me personally. It's not like it's a rule or anything like that. And to your point, Leighton, if it was doing something wrong, they probably already have been shut down doing that. Yeah. And then to a side note, I see Jonathan's question. He had, seriously, how are the fans to you guys Saturday? And what you think of the atmosphere? I made the comment earlier, Jonathan. Sounds like you're a Clemson fan. I thought the fans were mostly good. There was a few, fans that were losers about it. They're pretty rude about it. But for the most part, I thought Clemson was very hospitable. I thought with the people we sat around were very nice. The concessions lady even gave me like a discounted drink, and it was like I was going to go get a soda, and she gave it to me for cheap. I thought they were mostly nice. There were some fans that were kind of jerks about winning. Sorry losers. I'm sorry winners. Excuse me. But beyond that, it was fine.
Yeah. And if I can just piggyback off that, they're probably not watching, but friends of Leighton, Maurice and Missy, they took care of us at the tailgate. Very nice people.
Clemson fans too.
Clemson fans, absolutely. Wonderful. I thought we were treated pretty well. When we weren't treated well, it was mostly younger people. And
clearly college age students, that kind of age.
Yeah, probably under 30. Hey, look, let's be real. Every fan base has it. State has it. 99% of the fans are going to be great. It's the 1% that you tend to remember more, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. But overall, it was great. It was a great trip.
It was good. They were good. Yeah.
And younger Clemson fans, all they know is Clemson just dominating the ACC. So it's
right.
Yeah, it comes across a little bit like there's some entitlement there. Like, oh, we're just so much better than you. You guys are just turds. Like, well, okay. I mean, but. Well, it is what it is. There's always going to be those kind of fans. No, you're not going to ever go and be like, wow, these guys are the most polite fans when they win or lose. They're just always So I mean, it's just part of it.
As soon as we walked into game day, we got the proverbial 4-letter word "you" chant, and we just kind of embraced it. Whatever, they were all college kids. It was early in the day, but I was walking back down to my seat after the interception, minding my own business, and the fan just turned around on me and gave me another "FU" chant, and some older people by him were like, yo. I was like, so it's just not necessary for it. Look, just act right in the stands. But hey, I would go back. I'd go back.
The fans we sat around were really great. We were having conversations about, where Clemson get their mascot name from, and just what are their views on the season, or this, the play caller simply thought we fumbled. We were like debating upon what that was going to look like, or this penalty here, the targeting call, that they were livid about that for a little bit. And it was like, we're going to talk about it. And it was fine. It was good, fun debate, competitive debate.
As it should be.
That was fun. That I enjoyed.
Yep. Well, and again, I want to say a couple things, but first of all, I want to clarify one thing about that targeting call that I watched it. I watched some of the game back. I didn't watch all of it, but just some of the game back. And I did watch that play, and because I said it with confidence during the game, and I even said it with confidence even watching it afterwards, that unfortunately, per the rule book, It's straightforward. He led with the crown of the helmet, hit Keon Lassane right in the head or neck area. It's straightforward. And even though Keon Lassane basically rolled him over, keep in mind that's not necessarily what the player does on the play. Like, it's not necessarily if like he knocks over the wide receiver or he gets knocked over himself. It's a matter of that they're trying to teach the players to not lead with the crown of the helmet. It is a dangerous play. Yeah. So just wanted to clarify that. Go ahead.
It is more for the protection of the tackler than it is the tacklee. Like,
1,000%.
So
the tacklee.
I don't know.
No, I think
word. I know
the
what
one
you're
receiving
about.
the
It's just
tackle.
a good word, tacklee.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. So
no, it was definitely watching that on TV. It was textbook targeting. I mean, the hit wasn't that big or violent.
No,
but
that's what I mean.
You guys tell us this too. Michael, everybody tell us. So I heard on Twitter that like Curve Street was just drooling over Clemson. Was that true?
I don't think. I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, for the most part, they dominated the second half, and that was when he started, talking about them more. But
sure,
which, I mean, rightfully so.
Yeah,
sure.
I don't know. Fine. I didn't think it was that bad.
Yep.
Nothing.
I
kind
of heard people saying like that. Oh, Curb Street's just salivating over Clemson. I was like, that would be really annoying to listen to, but frustrating.
I think State fans are just jaded for so many years. Like,
nothing that jumped out at me where I was like, did he really just say that? Or like, so.
Yeah. Now, the one thing which I do want to do, which is why I'm bringing my headphones back, is I got to give my hats off to DJ, because I'll say this right now. At the end of the day, the DJ that we saw last year is not the DJ that it is now. At the end of the day, I mean, he's a solid quarterback. There's no doubt about it. He played, overall well. Obviously missing throws here and there for sure, but hey, he played a solid game. Can't argue that one way or another. But definitely, one thing which I want to say too a little bit about the the fans environment as well as it again, like we already said that every fan has every fan base has it, but at the end of the day, the one thing which I want to point out even as well, DJ kind of talks about it, saying you got to be appreciative of what Doran's done for the program. At the end of the day, yes, I mean, I think for me really about this season, we were hoping and we really saw the potential for hitting the grand slam, hitting the home run here this season. But at the end of the day, I always say, as long as we take a step forward as a program, then that's all we can really ask for. And at the end of the day, there still is a lot of opportunity here to take not only one, but multiple steps forward here as a program. But obviously, we were hoping for the Grand Slam of an ACC championship.
That's still on the table. Like, is Clemson going to lose 2 games? Like, is 2 games? They're going to lose 2 games? Probably not. But
not. But
so you're saying there's a chance you go out.
They still have to play Florida State. They still have to play Florida State. They still have to play Syracuse. I mean, I'm not saying they're like going to be,
who knows what's going to happen? God forbid they have an injury. I don't. No one's hoping for that. But I'm just saying, let the chips
crazier things have happened. So
sure,
Miami.
Well, no,
their coastal division matchup is Miami, who's hasn't obviously had a bad loss to Middle Tennessee State, but on paper they have the same amount of talent as Clemson.
Yeah, but they play them in a few weeks, and Miami could get it right. Like,
yeah.
No, again, and I'm not sitting here saying that the ACC championship is not going to happen. I'm just saying realistically,
it's tough.
It would, many dominoes would have to fall. So just being, talking more of that. Okay, if that doesn't happen, what else is there? And there's a ton. I mean, 11-1 is definitely still sitting here on the table for us. And especially too. I mean, New Year's Six Bowl is definitely still on the table as well. It's everything is still out there. So, Michael, go ahead.
If we really want to get crazy, probably the second best thing after Clemson losing would be Clemson winning out and going 13-0, winning the ACC championship. Then we went out. Then we're sitting there at 11-1 with our only loss as a road loss to Clemson.
And you're going New Year's Six Bowl.
Depending on, New Year's Six Bowl, but depending on chaos.
UNC
chaos. That's the best
chaos.
resume for the
He's not wrong.
playoff spot.
But no, listen to me. No, it is 100%, because if Clemson goes, then that means that leaves a New Year's Six spot open that the ACC champion would have taken. So then it's basically either us at 11-1 or whoever loses in the Coastal. But right now, the top 2 teams, Miami lost to Middle Tennessee State at home. UNC lost to Notre Dame at home.
What
we
if
lost to
Georgia Tech wins out then the
No. Michael is
Greg
saying.
knows what
I'm gonna go even
I
crazier.
got you, Michael. I got you.
Greg knows what I'm saying.
We'll leave it at that.
The fourth playoff spot. If there's chaos in the rest of the conferences, if NC State is 11-1 with the only loss to undefeated Clemson, that's a pretty good resume. You can't have
that's
a
a
better
pipe
resume
dream.
than that.
That's a pipe dream. But it's
that is a pipe dream. But hey, I mean, I like it, Michael.
But
I like
here's
it. Go for
let's
it.
say South
Georgia
Carolina
struggled
comes
against
back
Missouri.
into the ACC and plays Maryland, who comes back. I'm kidding. I'm lost. You guys.
No, I see you, Michael. I
Look,
see you.
go
brother.
play the games and see what happens.
Yeah. Amen. No, again, at the end of the day, again, honestly, a huge moment for this program, honestly, is on the table this weekend. Because again, Macon, I know, again, I'll let you take over the stats, but there is a stat out there that is overwhelmingly that the game after you play Clemson or lose to Clemson, that more than likely most teams have lost that next game. And Macon, can you?
I don't know the exact stat,
there?
but something like
Okay,
90% of teams, whenever they play Clemson, they lose the following week. I mean, just they got Clemsoned, if you will. Like it's just been like last year, State didn't fall in that category. They win. They played Clemson and then they went and beat Louisiana Tech. I think it was. Now they kind of struggled that game. But they won. And then they went up to Boston College and won. So and Wake Forest did this past. Yep. Sorry, I'm stealing everybody's thunder here. But
no, buddy, you're good.
They did it. So I think State has a very senior laden team, and they can win this game against Florida State. And I made the comment last show. I said we could be talking, guys. We were like, oh yeah, State's going to win, and we thought we would. And I still think we should have won that game. But you know, I thought we could have maybe if State hypothetically could lose out these 3 games, and we could be talking a whole different thing about NC State football.
for sure.
But I think this is going to be a very telling game, Florida State. It's going to be what is the game time? Is it's 7:30? It's 8
o'clock.
AC Network.
Yeah.
Be glad to home, be glad to night game, and let's show out. And Florida State, statistically, they are one of the best performing offensive teams in the country right now. I mean, particularly raw.
But that's our strength, though. So
didn't look so good the other night.
True.
Well, that was the quarterback rushing when they lined up straight up rushing. Like look at Shipley straight up rushing. I think he broke 1, maybe 2, like 8+ yarders.
Yeah.
So
Well, and Dalton and Connor, I do want to kind of stress here as well. I think we've definitely beaten the horse a little bit about
he
bad
fumbled.
calls, things like that. Yes, he fumbled, and yes, the wide receiver did fumble before he stepped out of bounds, and it shouldn't have been blown dead. But at the end of the day, the refs, there were some calls they missed for Clemson even as well. So just it is what it is. We're moving on here.
Sorry, I'm gonna make this point here. Florida State is the 4th best performing offense according to PFF nationally. They are right behind Minnesota, Air Force, Ohio State, and that's it. Yeah, and they're right above Georgia and Michigan and Alabama. So they're really doing well offensively. They didn't score enough to win, but I'm just saying they are playing well enough at each of their positions, and they're doing it very well. So
I'd agree with that.
I think they have a pretty electric offense.
Yeah, no, I mean Jordan Travis when he's rolling he's a tough cookie. He's the definition of a dual threat quarterback, no doubt about it. So, but anyway, and again, the one thing which I will say though is again, just keep in mind that if you haven't already got tickets, I know it's sold out, but that doesn't necessarily mean that tickets aren't available. So make sure you go on your third-party sites, buy tickets if you can. Also to enter for our 2 tickets, for our fundraiser for the Blackwater family. Again, all it takes is $5 to enter. But the one thing which I will say again, it's going to be an electric environment, and you will not want to miss it. With that being said, we got to give a shout out here to our sponsor, Darby Electric, who is a veteran-owned company, and they specialize in residential work. But that's not all. They also build electric vehicle chargers, do a ton of remodel work, commercial work, and many other types of small projects. Even though the Triangle is their primary service area, they are capable of expanding that boundary. So go check them out at their website, DarbyElectricLLC.com. Find them on Instagram, Facebook, or give them a call at 919-639-0062 which they are available for your call 24 hours a day. So with that being said, again, make sure, again, if you already have tickets, great. If not, make sure to enter for ours or go check them out as well. We need every single seat taken. We need to support these guys 100%. We need to red it out, baby. We need to light it up. So, but the one thing which I do want to kind of wrap it up before we kind of finish up talking about football and talk about kind of a couple other sports here within NC State before we wrap this Tuffy Talk Live show up is, at the end of the day, with the spot that we are in, and especially with as crazy as college football is right now, our situation is way better than a ton of other teams right now, but specifically even the ACC. I mean, again, Louisville lost at home on the road to Boston College this weekend. Obviously the Florida State loss was critical for sure, but again, there's a lot of teams this year that have a lot of bad losses. Again, Miami losing the Middle Tennessee State. So, at the end of the day, the fact that we're sitting here, 4-1.
Pittsburgh lost to Georgia Tech. Did you say that?
Pittsburgh
one?
got donkey stomped by Georgia Tech at home. Yeah, no, that was the weirdest thing.
As a ranked Pittsburgh team,
and it was final score like 19-7, right?
Yep. Syracuse stomped Wagner, which really isn't a surprise, but they're in the top 25 now.
No,
but I'm just saying they're in the top 25 is where I was going with that.
They did running clock 10-minute quarters for the second half of that Syracuse Wagner game.
Yeah, which I know you could do that. So
yeah.
But anyway. So then they just making the point that at the end of the day, we still have a ton to play for this season. ACC championship is by no means out of the question. But even if it is, or even if it ends up being out of the question, at the end of the day, we still have an opportunity to go 11-1. Definitely play for a New Year's Six bowl. And I think if we are playing in the Orange Bowl, come late December, early January, I can't remember when it is. I don't think many State fans are going to be too upset about it, because that will, in terms of results, will be probably easily one of the greatest NC State football seasons of all time.
Hey,
so
since it's a New Year's 6-day bowl, I'm gonna go. It's New Year's Day.
Okay, yeah. I mean that makes sense. So
it's been a Monday, man. It's a Monday.
It's been a Monday. Yeah, no, New Year's 6. Yeah, no, gotta think that through a little bit more. All right. So that being said, gonna move on over to Tuffy's Tweets of the Week to give a shout out to a couple of our other sports here that need some shout. All righty. So, man, I'm totally behind here. I totally forgot to throw up the daggone graphic. Sheesh. Or the background, whatever it is. Want to give a shout out, first of all, to women's volleyball. That's coming off of 2 straight ACC wins against Miami and
Florida State.
Florida State, yep. But we lost to Pitt, who's a top 10 opponent. It's definitely no shame there whatsoever. Got to give a shout out to Ava Brizard, who was named ACC Freshman of the Week, and especially with ACC being as strong as it is in volleyball, to have a player, especially a freshman, get named with accolades like this definitely says a lot for what Lucas Slabe and this Pac NC State women's volleyball team is doing.
Trending up.
Got to give a huge shout out there, and especially to, I know from them bringing in multiple different transfers, a couple from Texas, which is a big time women's volleyball program. Again, I just cannot stress enough that if you have the time for it, it's not like tickets are expensive. I think they're like $5 or $7 a ticket, so it's a cheap ticket as well. Go support these girls. Again, it's a great match. It's a great team, and you will enjoy it for sure. It's well worth the money, and I know that it goes even way further with them. They deserve to have as many NC State fans as they can. They're supporting them. So got to give a shout out to Luca and Ava for this amazing accomplishment, and definitely looking forward to seeing what they can do for the rest of that season. So now also too, giving a shout out to one of our recent Pac pros, Akeem Ikwanu, baby. In week 4, he had 40 pass blocking snaps, gave up 0 sacks, and only allowed 1 pressure. So which is definitely a much better stat than I'm sure the stats that he had. Well,
yeah.
That too. Yes, yeah, no,
on offense, particularly.
Except for Christian McCaffrey, who led me on to beat Greg in fantasy football this week, baby.
Ooh.
Wow. You gotta just throw shade like that.
I mean, broken clocks right twice a day, so whatever.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, no, but it's definitely much better stats than what I was thinking. Besides, definitely, yeah, the Carolina Panthers in general. Definitely his stats from week 1, facing
Myles Garrett.
Myles Garrett. Yeah, Myles Garrett from the Cleveland Browns. So great to see him being, finally being successful and looking good in that black, blue and white. So, but just hoping that the rest of the team can catch up to him for sure. So, just leave it at that. The fire Matt Rule, trend is definitely out there. Campaign.
That dude has got to go. He's got to go somewhere, man.
He is. I don't know when, but he is.
He is. Did you see that stat?
It's not if, it's when. Is that what you're saying, Michael?
Did you see the stat that was like he's 1 for 26? The Panthers are 1 for 20 on Matt Rule when the opposing team scores 17 points or more.
Like that. That's so bad.
That is so bad. Holy cow.
Yep.
Stephen A. Smith. Well, I'm sorry, I don't want, but he went off on him today. He was like, he said, I look at the camera. He goes, Matt Rule, pack your bags.
But it was so ironic. Go ahead, Michael.
He could get he'll be a top candidate for the Nebraska or Wisconsin job probably.
Yeah, and speaking of Wisconsin or Nebraska, let's put it this way. I know that a lot of state fans are saying, "Oh man, Dave Doran's going to go to Nebraska or Wisconsin," but at the end of the day, two things that immediately scream out to me that say that he doesn't even think about that. First of all, he came into NC State with the quote 1 pack 1 goal. He like from day one, that was his thing. 1 pack 1 goal, and that is the United mission to win a championship. He has not won a championship yet, and knowing him and knowing how competitive he is, I would be a monkey's uncle if he left NC State before bringing that championship. That at least bringing that championship.
Monkey's
uncle. I'll tell you what trumps a championship: a Brinks truck.
I don't know.
Well, but also too, I feel like he's done so much to build up this program, and he knows that if he goes to Nebraska, he's starting from scratch.
Yeah,
and if he goes to Wisconsin, he's again, because Wisconsin. Well, I think one of the biggest issues right now with this Wisconsin is that they just need to figure out how much do they really want to be successful in their conference, because like Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, they care a lot about football. If you're going to beat them, you have to care just as much as them. And I don't necessarily know if they're at that level right now.
Well, so, I think like Wisconsin is a football state, right? I mean, just look no further than the Packers and the way that they play ball. But they've been to some big bowl games the last few years. The Rose, the Cotton, I think maybe even the Orange. And they've had multiple 9-win seasons, and look, that wasn't getting it done apparently. And obviously we don't know all the ins and outs of what's going on with that program, and they're 2-3, but I mean, who's to say they wouldn't have turned it around? But
sure.
But everything that Dave says, that he loves North Carolina, he loves the mountains, he loves the the ocean, the lakes, the fishing. His kids love it here. Let's not forget one of his children goes to Appalachian State. So maybe that plays some into it. He loves the seasons here, but he does have history out in the Midwest, out in the Kansas
Wisconsin
area, and then with Wisconsin. So it's not out of the question.
No.
I think their DC is going to get the job permanently. I mean, he's an alum.
Yeah, Leonard.
I think that's who all the fans want.
He's an alumni there. He played linebacker there.
Yeah, I don't think we have to worry about that.
Yeah, I think that's true. Especially if he does well.
Yeah. Right. And the one thing, which again, I harp as well, and I've heard this with multiple coaches, not just even NC State, but I'm talking even Carolina Hurricanes, I'm talking multiple, is that it's very hard to convince coaches to leave Raleigh, just because, I mean, there's a reason why it's not, if not number one, number two of the best cities to raise a family in the whole entire United States. And so,
I mean, just the weather alone, like who wants, look, I spent time in Nebraska in the winter. It sucks. Wisconsin weather, it sucks. North Carolina is a great place to live, man.
And Dorn's a country guy. I mean, again, he's a cowboy boots, jeans wearing guy. I mean, so he fits the area perfectly. So again, just from the fact that he is not gotten it. He's not gotten there yet. Now, again, if he wins the ACC championship and an opportunity comes available, then I might be worrying a little bit. But I also know, too, that at the end of the day, whenever he's asked to get the raises for his assistants or whatever, or get the indoor practice facility or get the lights, he's gotten it. So, we'll see. So anyway, and then the last thing I want to bring up as well is obviously the news as well of that State only went down to number 14, which to me, actually, I'll say this right now. I fully expect us to go like 18 or 19, just from knowing our past with AP poll of like, oh man, NC State's overrated. Now they lost to Clemson at Clemson. They're, going to drop down. So to me, definitely seeing us, only go down to 14, I was like, oh, okay, that's nice. Now I know that I know pretty much all NC State fans' favorite ECU grads point out saying, how is it that Wake Forest is below NC State? That is an atrocity and a half and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, bro, at the end of the day, in a couple of weeks, NC State's going to go against Wake Forest, and we'll find out once and for all.
We'll find out. Yeah,
it'll get sorted out.
Just patience, my friend. But definitely got to give a huge shout out. I mean, again, hey, for me, Syracuse, again, I'm a fan of Dino Babers. I really am. He is a great guy, and so, to see Syracuse at least start to get some success is great. Now, at the end of the day, have they faced anybody really of caliber? No. But at the end of the day, hey, they're 5-0, and so
we're about to find out what they're made of real quick in the next 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah,
they got us, FSU, and Clemson for sure. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, that Sean Tucker, that dude's a real deal, man.
Yeah.
Sean Tucker's a really good running back.
And if you can run the ball, you can control a lot of the game.
Absolutely. Hey, how about Kansas ranked up there at 19? Yeah.
Who had that?
Who had that coming into the season?
I mean, look at that. They're actually ahead of Kansas State. You know what I mean? Like
so that clip where they look at it. Who would have thought? Here we are. Not me.
Not me.
Not me.
Well, and also, I don't know if it's this week or next week, but UNC and Duke play, and they're 8 p.m. prime time. And I'm like, man, look at
it's
ACC Network.
It's ACC Network prime time. It's ACC Network. Let's pump the brakes.
Yeah, I want to see Wake Forest versus Kansas in the national title game.
No one.
Well, and I guess more of my point to that too being, I mean, most of the years recently, it's mostly, UNC and Duke has just been a noon game. Like, okay, let's go and get this thing over. UNC's going to blow out Duke. Okay, thanks for coming. Have a good day. But now, I mean, it's actually probably might be a good game. We'll see.
They got a decent offense. I think they're top 5 in the ACC in offense right now.
Yeah. I mean, they're impressive.
Two quick housekeeping notes before we wrap this up. Syracuse and State's been announced for 3:30 in 2 weeks. And then in case if you're a season ticket holder or an LTR holder, make sure you've checked your email because the priority deadline for selecting your seats has changed. It's now in December. So, if you're listening in, make sure you get that in. They kind of snuck that in on us and there hasn't really been any other notifications. So if you're one of those that, doesn't check your email often or, stuff goes to spam, don't miss out on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, thanks Greg for touching us on that. So yeah, just to kind of wrap things up here. So again, 8:00 p.m. on AC Network. But again, if you're not already going, again, find a way, get there to Carter Finley this weekend. It's going to be an amazing environment. Sold out game.
It's going to be chilly.
Hey, it's going to be chilly. Hey, finally pulling out the jackets a little bit. Hey, I'm not against that whatsoever. Exactly. So definitely looking forward to seeing a packed crowd there at Carter Finley. And also too, again, make sure if you haven't already, please make sure to check out our fundraiser for the Black Welder family. Again, giving away 2 tickets, 50-yard line, upper level, baby, on the home side. So again, they're great seats. And again, we're giving away. All you have to do is donate at least $5. But for every additional $5 you give, you receive more entries. And the more entries you get, the more likelihood you have to win. And that will be open until Thursday. Late afternoon. I think I put the deadline at 5:00. But again, all that information is there once you click on the GoFundMe. And again, the links to that's in the description for this video. So again, with that being said, again, thank you all so much for tuning in. We really appreciate all your support. Again, as always, make sure again also to keep an eye out here for our episodes that's coming out here this week here again with Ken Gibbs from Lockdown Wolfpack and Ryan Williams with Inside Pack Sports, talking about the Clemson game even further and talking about the FSU game, what State needs to do to be successful. But with that being said, thank you all so much again for your time. Thank you so much again for tuning in. We will see y'all next week, Monday night, 8 p.m. We'll see y'all then. As always,